Okay, today is Friday. I wanted to talk a little bit about my next to last video. I had a comment on there I thought I'd address. I do go over the comments. I want to make sure everybody understands that I try to answer them the best I can. And this one here was going to be too hard to put everything in writing. It's too long. Okay, so if I can take 10 or 15 minutes to explain it, I guess I'll do my best. And hope you all understand what I'm talking about. This one is from, the commenter is a guy named, the channel is called Just, J-U-S-T. Okay, so, and then the number on is 77534. It came in 3 hours ago, and I thought, yeah, now's a good chance I can hit it while it's hot. The first few words, okay. The law is unfair, but. So we're going to go through this thing and see what's unfair about the law. In between that, okay, on the last sentence here it says, and it all can't be rainbows and gumdrops. He's being very facetious and being a smart aleck. So everything in between is he's trying to hit. Part of it is at Lynette, and part of it is justification for Jeremy's tactics. Okay. All right. Now, everybody that's watched my video, you take it with a grain of salt. It's my opinion, and so I'm going to use my opinion as well here. Now, this guy, I don't know if he really says it's his opinion or anything. He's actually just saying, here's the way it is. It said she received a C and D, ignored it. Cease and desist. And he says, and ignored it. Actually, I think what she did is she probably fought back. She is a pretty obstinate person, and she fights back at every little thing that crosses her path. She's just a little gal. And people of small stature seem to be able to, or want to. They get pretty feisty because it's the only thing they have. And when the bigger somebody is that's after them, the more they fight and the harder they fight. And it gets to be just like in this case here, the whole darn thing ended up with a lot of nasty remarks, accusations that this should have never went as far as it did. None of us should have been even known about it. It started out as a neighborhood dispute and grew quite largely. It said, now number 2, made vile accusations with no thought. And in that sentence itself, it kind of wraps up things. I mean, this guy realizes that the woman spoke out without thinking about what she was saying. And, a lot of that I agree with. The woman is very outspoken. And she may use some gutter language to express herself. And it's not unusual in today's world to use words that are run shivers down your back if you come from my area. Yeah, I know. I'm laughing about it because just bringing something up like that, we're talking about somebody that is from a different generation than mine, obviously, and it seems like as the generations have come up behind mine, they've lowered their standard of language, and in this case, a lot of that is there. And the accusations, he doesn't come out and say what the accusations are, and but I know this from what I've heard and seen. She's a fighter, and she's going to use whatever she can. Posted horrible, vile things about her ex-husband and how abusive he is, and stated many times she feared for this child. Now, if she really felt or feared for her child's safety with that guy there, she would have removed him from the property. And she has removed several people from that property or from being around her. So she may have said something that she didn't really mean, which is not unusual when two people are fighting, and these two seem to love to fight. That seems to be their common bond, is to attack each other. I'm not going to say whether it's right or wrong, but obviously this person is given his determination on the whole thing. Number 4, after months of ignoring her, they got the Ohio PPO. It is quite obviously you have not read the Ohio transcripts where the judge went over her rights and she agreed to proceed on her own. Maybe if you can't afford court proceedings, stop the behavior that got you there. Now, what he's saying is that if you can't afford it, then you need to change your behavior. If you don't have money in your pocket and you can't afford to be in court, that's just tough. That's what he's saying. Even though by our own Constitution, we all have an equal chance for representation. This particular PO, I don't think she had the realization of what was going to happen. I just don't. And the judge asked her if she understood, and I listened to this darn thing because Jeremy put it on his channel. So as far as me not knowing about it, this guy has no idea whether I do or not. He threw it out there. He's blowing smoke. He's making accusations without knowing in real terms, because he made a determination because I was of my opinion, I didn't know about these things, but I did. I watched it, or at least what was presented by Jeremy. I don't know as if she really understood what was going on, or the repercussions of what those things, the words down on there are. She has the habit of saying yes or no to the same sentence, same question. It's kind of an oxymoron the way she speaks sometimes. She's very easy to trip up. Now Jeremy knows that. He knows how to bait her and get her going. He interacted with her a long time before he got to this point. Let's see. As far as the money part, it shows how unequal the law is to people, poor people. They can't be represented. Part of it too is the court itself. They're looking at documents, and obviously she wasn't represented in this court of law up here on this one. And it's her fault that she didn't go out and get legal advice. But the other thing is, if she would have, she wouldn't have been able to get what medication they may need around there. Probably not be able to buy food it takes to do their thing. Jeremy has made the statement different times about how he can crush her. He makes no qualms about it on his channel. He's got much more money and much more experience in it to bring this thing to an unfair advantage, which is his advantage, not hers. Whether she deserves it or not, I'm not so sure she deserves being gone after in an unfair manner. I think she should have equal representation, and that is not provided. Okay. And obviously, she got nailed. She can't, if they're out on the road, she has to get off the road if Jeremy comes by. If John is out on the road, and he actually came by there when John was out on the road, they were measuring a fence up or something, and he was using a walker, by the way, and yes, I seen the video, and I seen how Jeremy was telling him, get off the road, get off the road. You can't be here when I'm here. And he actually stopped the truck and showed the video. Instead of proceeding, all he had, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, this PPO, I don't know if it was really meant to be so overwhelming to somebody that lives right across from his property or not, but they If they get out and leave their gate and this guy is out there, they can't drive in that direction. And if they happen to already be there, they have to get out of there. They can't stay there. He has the full right to tell them, no, you can't do this. Because they didn't have a lawyer represent them, and she said, yeah, I understand, when she didn't. That should not be the end of the law. I mean, she had no idea how this is going to affect her. I don't believe she did. Is that fair, to take advantage of somebody that has a misunderstanding of it? Well, I hope that something like this don't happen to you, because this woman now has gone through this stuff long enough that no matter how sane a person is, it would give them nightmares and would cause mental issues. You can't live through this kind of stuff and restrictions without having a tough time. Remember, this is a town of 100 people. They all have to go to the same post office to get their mail. They can't go to the post office up there if one of the others is present. And if they are there, they have to turn around and immediately leave. And they have filed several charges against them just for things like that. This is, the judge never threw it out voluntarily withdrew the case, but she know it was not thrown out. Now, they were talking about somebody else that made an observance of the protective order that was done by Lynette Michelle. In other words, somebody was talking about how the court case that was dismissed this week. And so only one of the PPOs is up there right now, and that's the one from Jeremy, and it's out of Ohio. And it was done in Ohio. If you listen to it, you have to go before the courts in Florida 3 different times before you can get a protective order. And Lynette did that. She went there forward 3 times to do that, to get it done, because she felt she was being harassed through the media. And freedom of speech kind of comes into that play there. And I understand that part very well. But where's the line between freedom of speech and harassment? Okay, where is that line? I'm not a judge, and I haven't had to set over proceedings of this in any way before. But it looked to me initially like Jeremy was being transgressed against on his freedom of speech when he was told he could no longer use it on social media. But I understand now what the woman was going through, because of the social media was so overwhelming. He has a huge amount of followings, over 700,000. These people are jumping on the bandwagon. They jumped on me. My channel took a beating verbally, well, in writing. Initially, his people weren't too bad when I was just reporting and doing a neutral type reporting, until it got to this point of harassment. And then they come out, and man, there were some pretty vile things said. Now, some of them that were following Lynette said some pretty vile things that came on to my channel too. So it wasn't one-sided. People get on there and they get on this keyboard, and their mouth overloads the rest of them, and they get saying things that they shouldn't say. And in this instance, some of that was done. Now, they're going after her for her language and the way she's doing it. And I've seen this done by the other person as well. That they use the same type of words to explain how this was, or how it came to fact to today. When one side uses vile language, that doesn't mean the other one should be justified in doing it. But I'm just telling you, it's not one-sided. Okay? Details add facts make a world of difference than doing 5-hour live streams making outlandish claims of how Jeremy is going to jail and led his mentally unstable woman who everyone should handle with kid gloves. Okay, the guy's actually admitting that maybe she does need help, but he don't think it should be, because that's her fault for mental instability. So now we've got this guy. He started out, the law is unfair, but, and he's telling you, well, it's not his fault she's that way, or nobody else's. It's not Jeremy's fault that she has a little bit of mental instability. Well, it's not his fault. It's not our fault. It's not my fault. But the law system, to make it level, needs to do something. They can't just take a person that is incapable of handling the legal affairs and kick them while they're down, while they're in the gutter, if you want to say that. I'm just telling you, that's not fairness in law to do that. If you're found that you have inability to understand what's going on, then it's up to the law to stop all proceedings until such time as that person is stable enough to understand what's going on. And it's obvious that this guy understands that she wasn't there, that she was incapable of handling some of the things that were going on. And then he gets after somebody that calls it out. And he says 5 hours live streams making outlandish claims. These claims that were going on there were proven in documentation and eyewitnesses. If this happened to you, would you just let it all slide? No, I've had things happen to me. I've done the legal thing, but I never hung the dirty laundry out in public to make this thing seem so unfair. I wouldn't do that. The one time that I crossed the line, I went back and fixed it. But when he ends up with, it's not all rainbows and gumdrops. Whew. Anyway, just to let you know, this young fellow, or I don't know who it is really, I don't know. There's a name up there, it says Just 77 534. I'll check his channel, because maybe this guy has a background and has reason for being able to do judgments or whatever he may have. Maybe he's a psychologist. The channel said, no content. He has no content. He's out there making comments on my channel. Okay. He starts it out with the law is unfair, but. And he justifies that it's okay. It don't matter if it's unfair or not. It's okay to justify. Go after a woman that's mentally unstable and is not financially able to help herself in court. What kind of person does that? What kind of person is that? And what kind of a person goes after somebody knowingly that they're going to stomp all over them? Anyway, it was interesting. And when I looked at it, and I don't know how many people look at comments to see what the true meaning is in it. And I hope you understand when you look at this thing. I took it sentence by sentence, and I just told you what's going on. Start out with the law is unfair, but, and end up with, and it all be rainbows and gumdrops. In other words, you would let it slide. Let's see. If this happened to you, just let it all slide, and there's some little symbol, and it'd all be rainbows and gumdrops. Being a smart aleck on there, after all this BS that he threw out there in front of it. Anyway, go ahead and think through it. Go ahead and look at it if you want to. To me, I thought it showed an inability to understand what was going on, and when somebody has an opinion, if it's okay, if it's not okay. But that's up to you to decide for your own self. This is up there for your entertainment. It's my opinion of how I felt about this particular comment. It was worth putting up there, because there may be more people that think just like this and talk just like this. And he said that they were making accusations without thinking. And I'm looking up here and I'm thinking, how much process did he use on this when he put this out there? Because what he really said, and I looked at it, he was making a case for this woman, although he was trying to make it look like she had it all coming to her. But her mental instability, which he says on there, and even though the law is unfair in the way it's reacting to her case, and that she didn't understand what was going on, that's her fault. That's what he's saying. It's her fault. Nobody wanted to look into it close enough to see if she really knew what she was talking about. And she had no legal representation on that case. She was steamrolled. And then the word steamrolled had been used by their people in some of their stuff. Well, I'll let you go. But at least I give you something to think about today, right? Listen, you have a good day, and don't get carried away with this. You know, other people would like to see a big fight and throw arrows at each other and all kinds of stuff. We don't need to do that. We can put a opinion up there and just call it out. That's all. Just put your opinion up there. See you later.